Back to this. Okay, cool. What?
If this Zoom call doesn't loop like your TikTok reels, I'm gonna be
Damn
disappointed.
it, I should. It said if this Zoom call doesn't loop like your reels, I'm gonna be disappointed. I should have. I'm gonna have to work that in. I'm gonna have to figure that out. That would have been so good. Oh man. I hate missed opportunities like that. All right, so we were talking about what that initial outreach message is going to be. All right. So here's the message that you're going to be sending, to folks on that list, on that, when you send that initial outreach. It's some version of this, and you're going to be split testing and experimenting and tweaking this message. That's just part of your day job now. But to get you started, it's something like, "Hey, person, appreciate you connecting. Didn't want to come empty-handed, so here's something my clients have been finding useful," right? And that thing that you hand them should legit be useful. Like I mean, it shouldn't be an ad for you, and it shouldn't be hiding behind an email gate. By all means, pixel that page where whatever that thing is, so that you can get pixel data on the people that go there in case when it's time to run retargeting ads. But you don't want to show up empty-handed. You're showing up to their house. Here's something my clients have been finding useful. I promise there's no pitch on the other side of this. Just trying to meet more people in XYZ industry. And any exciting goals for the next 12 weeks or so, right? So this last question here, you this is where the real testing is going to happen, right? Um, you want to see what gets the most replies, right? That's it. It's don't do the permission to pitch thing. You're not trying to get, get them on a call. This isn't like thinly veiled small talk. You're legitimately trying to get them to reply here. So experiment with what questions people get most excited about. And then the next lever that you want to pull, the next thing to experiment with would be that first, the first one, the "Hey, name appreciates you connecting," right? What are other ways that you can say that sparks curiosity and gets people interested? Because that's going to be what they see in the little window in their inbox. Um, this one message does three powerful things. It gives value because the lead magnet that your clients are getting use out of, which creates goodwill. It removes pressure, which creates safety. They're more comfortable replying because you're saying there's no pitch on the other side of this thing. Remember, you get the trophy if you make a buddy, not if you make a sale. And it triggers the algorithm, which creates visibility. So let's talk about that last one. When someone replies to one of your DMs, LinkedIn assumes you're best friends. And when LinkedIn thinks you're besties, your content starts appearing in their feed constantly, right? So this means that your outbound and your content start to reinforce one another. And that's why I always say that your DMs are your retargeting ads. So there you go. If you're sending out 200 connection requests per week, once you get to 200, maybe you're going to start at 50 and work your way to 200. But if you're sending out 200 connection requests per week, and say you're getting like a 25 percent acceptance rate, that's 200 new leads per month, right? That's 200 new conversations started in the DMs. That's 200 chances each month to make buddies that refer you to their networks and that likely slot you in to solve their problems as well. All right. And I know that we said 34 leads to get you guys here. And people were asking in the comments on Instagram, on TikTok, why such a specific number. And I couldn't tell them that it's just because we honestly didn't think anyone would believe 200. So we just made up a number that we thought they would believe. But 200 leads is what we're looking at. 200 conversations sparked each month on LinkedIn, as long as you apply this this what we've gone through and this what we're about to go through. Um, so let's talk about comments because this is one of the most misunderstood, highest leverage parts of LinkedIn. Comments are not just engagement, comments are content. They're such an important part of the platform that LinkedIn has started allowing you to see uh, the impression count of each of your comments, and they often outperform posts in reach. I'm a professional content creator and I make some pretty good posts. And there have been many days where the 50 comments that my team and I left that day on LinkedIn dwarfed the impression count of whatever content we posted. And this will be even more true for you, who's using, because you're using LinkedIn to find clients as opposed to build an audience. Um, Unlike posts, comments place you inside other people's rooms, right? So you're borrowing their audience and their trust and their context, and leveraging it for you. So let's get tactical here, because it's the next most important part of how you can use LinkedIn to grow your business. First thing you're going to do after this webinar is create a list of three groups of people. You want 10 to 15 thought leaders in your niche who are active on LinkedIn. So, who are the people on LinkedIn that your ideal customer is following for advice and for entertainment, right? That have big audiences. So, for me, that would be like an Alex Hormozy or a Gary Vaynerchuk type person who's people who are on LinkedIn talking to small business owners, giving advice. Next, you want to create a list of 10 to 15 practitioners of people who work alongside, your niche, right? So these are people that are posting regularly also about your corner of the industry. So say you're a fashion photographer. These would be designers, hairstylists, venue owners, agents, publicists, et cetera, within the fashion industry, right? So pick the folks, the 10 to 15 folks who are most present on the platform, who are getting the most engagement, who are doing, anywhere between a dozen and 50 comments a post, people that you can go and engage in their comment sections. And then excuse me, the third list is 10 to 15 people at brands that you'd like to work with, or even entire teams at those brands. Like if there's a company that you know you'd be good for, and you want to kind of do the little bighorn and start slowly introducing yourself to them in a way that's not, a straight up cold pitch, and engage with them. So these people on this list likely won't be posting. On the other two lists, these guys are posting every day, multiple times a day. These guys are posting, a couple times a week. These guys aren't posting at all, but they're commenting. And so you're going to want to reply to their comments in a meaningful and impactful way, right? So on these two, you're commenting on their posts, and on this one, you're replying to comments, right? Every day, leave comments that demonstrate how you think and how you problem solve, right? And your experience and expertise. So not, you know, love this fire emoji or thanks for sharing, but real insight and perspective. Like comments that signal, you know, I get this industry. I understand the painful problems that this niche is dealing with. I know how to fix it. I fix it all the time. I'm here to help, right? How many of these comments should you be leaving daily? It's truly up to you. The important part is that you pick a target that's sustainable, because you want to be uh, you want to keep up with it, right? I'd say to resolve to leave at least 10 comments per day, at the least. But the more comments you leave, the more result you will get. It's very mathematical. What are you laughing at? Past comments. You guys are making Courtney laugh over there. But whoever's yucking it up, you're making my wife laugh. Um, but yeah, it's very mathematical. There are some people who will hire VAs and leave 1,000 comments a day. It's pretty extreme, and that one you do warm up to. That is in my notes. But sharing to demonstrate the point. But anywhere between 10 and 100 comments a day would be a great goal, and not all at once, right? So you don't want to, like, block off an hour in the morning to leave 100 comments. You'll likely, LinkedIn will tell you to slow down. But maybe 15-minute blocks, right? Have notifications turned on for the thought leaders. So anytime they post, you get a notification, you go in and you're the first comment on their post, and then you spend another 10 minutes commenting on other stuff, right? Um,
What are your thoughts on pitching?
don't pitch on comments. No. Yeah. If somebody asks what are your thoughts on pitching on comments? You're purely adding to the conversation, right? This is a demonstrative exercise. Here, you're um, very, I would say, nothing that we're talking about today involves a pitch. The strategy is they end up pitching themselves, right? In the DMs, in that first DM message that we sent, it says, "I promise there's no pitch coming," right? And that's to open them up and that let them have a conversation. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't talk about the success you're seeing with other clients. So that between you and I, here, the folks in this room, that's a pitch, right? But you're not pitching them. You're being va but like the paper definition of a pitch, it is not. It is you presenting them with value, saying, because if you ask what's your 12-week goal, and they say, oh, we're really trying to figure out this conversion rate on this landing page. It's just not where we need it to be. Then you can say, oh yeah, we actually, my client 2 months ago had the same issue, and we did this, and that for it. Have you thought about that? Maybe integrate these two things, and let me know if you have any questions at all. Happy to be a sounding board, right? That's that's as pitchy as you're going to get. But really, what it is you're presenting value. Is you're presenting value in the DMs, you're presenting value here in the comments. You're just presenting value, and you're building yourself up as the expert, right? Um, because what's going to happen is eventually the outbound becomes inbound, which we're getting to here. But yeah, so 10 to 100 comments per day. And if I blow through questions here, make sure you add them to the question thing so we can get to the end here, and then we'll do all the Q and A's. 10 to 100 a day would be a great goal, because here's kind of the outcome we're manufacturing with this commenting thing. People don't engage with LinkedIn the way they engage with TikTok or Instagram, right? They don't open the app multiple times a day and spend hours on it. They open it once or twice a week. And when someone in your niche logs onto LinkedIn once or twice a week, their feed becomes a recap of, the last several days, kind of the greatest hits of the last several days in their niche. And because you've been active in all the right comment sections every day of that week for several hours, they're gonna see your face, your name, your headline next to a valuable comment a dozen times every time they open the app, right? A few weeks of that, and you'll simply become the person who solves that problem for their niche on LinkedIn, right? This creates familiarity. Familiarity reduces risk. And if you're familiar with my content, I've explained this one often, is that the deciding factor isn't talent so much as it is certainty. And any risk reduction increases buying likelihood. This is how the dark funnel works, right? The layers of decision making that clients go through before you ever show up. They're forming impressions of you in moments that you're not involved in. So imagine after a few months of seeing you show up like this, they get a connection request and a first DM from you with a valuable lead magnet. You see how this works? Now they recognize your name and your face in that connection request, and they're excited to see what you have to say about their business. Um, People hire the freelancer they recognize, not the freelancer who's objectively the best, ever. This is always true. The freelancer that they've seen 10 times that week, the freelancer whose name feels familiar. So, what does this look like in practice? Uh, you're going to want to create a spreadsheet that tracks content, date and time, and link to the original comment. That way, you or a VA can go back 48 hours later to check the impression counts of the comments to determine what's working and what's not, right? You always want to let the data be your guide. Here's a screenshot of my comment tracker from July, sorted by highest impression counts, right? And I'll do that at the end of the month because guess which of these comments I develop into their own posts the next month, right? So not only is this tracking effort informing future comments, and we're training ChatGPT for both myself and my VAs to use, But it's also informing future content because it's telling me which topics speak the language of my niche on LinkedIn, right? What are people reacting to? And then this brings us to the profile. Um, if everything I just said about commenting is true, it is, then how important do you think your profile picture and the headline beneath your name that shows up next to each one of those comments are? Quite important, right? They'll remember your profile and headline long before they remember your name. For many of my followers, I was the mustache freelancing guy on LinkedIn long before I was Jamie Brindle. So you'll want a profile picture that is unique enough to be remembered. And that can just mean you claiming a background color. You can be the chick with the bright orange background that talks about, packaging design for protein bars on LinkedIn. Like that could also mean that you have a prop in your photo. etc. Like keep it true to your industry. Keep it professional, but make it memorable. And then the headline you go with is what people will use to decide if they're going to accept your connection request, right? Or if they're going to open a DM from you or just follow you directly from the feed. This is what informs most followers' decision. So it needs to convey your offer in a simple, clever way, pointing to the pain that you solve in a manner that makes it seem so simple. That to them you must have the solution. The headline isn't the place to put that you're a dog lover, or to get cute and say you're a problem-solving wizard, or any of that stuff. Um, that's great. Great that you love dogs, and it's great that you're a problem-solving wizard, but the headline's not your place to convey that information, right? You want to use words that everyone understands to convey why they should pay attention to you in this moment. Um, Now, profile picture and headline are elements uh, that follow you wherever you are on the site. So, connection requests, DMs, comments, your profile picture and your headline are going to be right there with all those things. But what about the tools specific to the profile page? Well, let's start with why anybody in this day and age would even be on your profile page to begin with, when they could just follow you from the feed, right? They're there for the vibe check. People don't go to the profile page to follow you. If they read your comment, they read your headline, and they suss out that you're somebody that they want more of in their life, they'll just follow you from that comment or from that post. But if they've made it to your profile page, it's because they're there for the vibe check, and they're not going to take the time to scroll down to your work history or to look at what skills you've been endorsed for, right? All kind of the old school LinkedIn stuff, back when it was more of a tool for corporate America. They're going to glance at your banner and your pin post and maybe your about section, and make their determination, right, on if they should accept a connection request from you, or if they should follow you. So your profile is simply the clarity layer that exists for the vibe check, right? People should be able to glance at your page and know exactly what problem you solve, for whom, and what type of a strategic partner you'll be. So your banner can be the logo wall of clients that you've worked with, or a few words about the problem you solve, or a few like short sentence long testimonials, like what they put on movie posters, right? Your pinned post can be your most powerful case study, right? Help them imagine the end result of working with you by showing them, the end result that somebody else achieved working with you. And your about section can demonstrate your personality a little bit, and show what you'll be like to communicate with, right? Feel free to put that you love dogs here, or that you're a problem-solving wizard here. But this is where you get to show off your personality a little bit. Finally, let's talk about posting. Love how this is the last thing on the list. Like, this is the lowest priority for this on LinkedIn, is posting. It like speaks volumes about what I said earlier, that LinkedIn is not a social media platform. It's a networking conference. You can get away with not posting at all if you do everything else that we've talked about. If you're doing everything else, you don't have to post. If you get specific about your offer and niche, if you run your weekly connection campaign, DM accepts with a lead magnet.